Hey everybody, it's your boy Fred from Amigo Amigo here to talk about the Batman vs Superman trailer, aka Batman v Superman. One of the things that I really enjoyed about the trailer was the atmosphere that they painted for us. What most people complain about is so many other things, but I'll get to that point. What I'm trying to cover for this trailer is that we're not always going to get what we want, but we must make do with what we get. So I'm going to cover some of the questions that most people are asking for.
Why didn't they show us anything really in the trailer? I mean, DC really wants to rival Marvel, don't they? Seriously, just get over yourself.
One of the reasons why they did not show as much as they could in the trailer is because it's a teaser trailer, meaning they're teasing us on what to expect for the film. So don't get your boxes bundled up, just relax, wait a few months, and then you will see the next trailer that comes out. And that will be the first full trailer that we get. Now, on to the second question.
Well then why didn't they give us that much in the trailer itself then? If they really wanted us to actually see the film, why won't they give us that much?
The atmosphere for the storyline is there. You just have to read between the lines. You have to remember this storyline takes place at least a year or so after the Man of Steel. So they are they're going to rebuild. Express that. They're in the middle of, or they already have rebuilt Metropolis. And the way that's going on is that people are trying to figure out if Superman is a god, a monster, or is he just a hero that's there to help? One thing that I love about the trailer was that Lex Luthor, who's being played by Jesse Eisenberg, chimes in the trailer saying that what he sees as Superman, he sees him as saying, devils are not in hell below, but in the sky. Meaning that we shouldn't be seeing him as a god, because he could just be there to hold us back or destroy us. Now, most people say, oh, is that what you really got? You got to remember is that even when they zoomed in on the statue of Superman, they actually showed on the symbol Hope, his logo, the S, it is painted on saying fallen false god. So we come to expect that there's going to be people that are hostile to Superman. Others are not. Another question that's stated is,
Come on, Ben Affleck, do you really think he could really do a good job being Batman? I mean, seriously, he gave us Daredevil for crying out loud. I mean, he was such a bad actor.
really, people, I feel like you guys could be much better at this. I don't see why you guys have such a beef with Ben Affleck, because Ben Affleck, for the last three films he put out, were phenomenal. And if I remember correctly, all three films were Oscar worthy. The Town, Argo, and Gone Girl. So I don't understand why you guys have such a beef with him, where he's actually proven as a director and actor that he can bring on the heat if he needs to. So you also have to remember, Ben Affleck's actually a gigantic Batman fan. If I remember correctly, I'm not trying to quote it or anything like that, but if I remember correctly, Kevin Smith, I think his house that he has now, or a former house that he had, used to be owned by Ben Affleck. Ben actually built a Batcave inside the house. Even though it's a small one, he built it inside because he was such a gigantic fan. Remember, he also go on stating that the reason why Ben Affleck took the role of Daredevil was because he didn't think he would ever get a chance to play Batman. So, even though now he finally got the chance to. Second of all, if you're going to try to bring up the Daredevil rule, stop it. First of all, Daredevil wasn't as bad as you think. It wasn't a great or a good Marvel film, but you also have to think it wasn't that bad. There has been much worse Marvel films. Some that are so bad they've never been even released. So to say that, oh, it was a bad Marvel film, just cut that out. Second of all, if you actually just go with his performance-wise, it was decent. It wasn't good. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. It was decent. He went in, did his job, showed us who Matt Murdock was. Maybe he could have done something a little different, but for the most part, he did what he had to do. So lay it off. Finally, the last question that most people usually ask is,
why doesn't DC just copy off of Marvel then? I mean, seriously, Marvel's so much better at what they're doing right now. I mean, seriously, do you really think that DC could do what Marvel can?
well, you have to understand, DC is not Marvel and Marvel's not DC. So you have to see them as two different companies. Even though they're both comic book companies and both entertainment companies technically, because they both come out with games, they both come out with comic books, they both come out with books, videos, animation, live action. So you have to see them as they're totally different. With DC on the other hand, they have gone for the most part they've gone much darker tone with a lot of their stuff. From Flashpoint, Dark Knight Returns, to the new Justice League movie that they're coming out with, the animated film. Anyways, you have to take them a much lighter. You have to take them as two different companies. One thing, I do kind of prefer the DC, not Marvel, DC tone, because they're going for a much more realistic. And everybody's like, oh, what about Avengers and all that? Well, think about it this way. In the first Thor movie, Loki gets away. Thor could have taken down his brother and actually stopped the events of Avengers if he did not show pity toward his brother, treated him as a criminal, as a villain. Even though he's your brother, you must take him out because he's the one that caused all this suffering. If he would have taken out his brother to begin with, the events of Avengers would have never happened, and the events of the Dark World most likely would have never happened to begin with either. What kind of ticked me off is that with the Avengers movie, Thor was not technically held accountable for the events because he technically allowed Loki to get out of there. And so when you go to the DC side, you see that Superman had nothing to do with General Zod. He didn't even know General Zod existed. General Zod showed up out of nowhere. Superman tried to start with peace. He wanted them to at least live among the humans. General Zod thought of it a different way. He's like, why should we live alongside them? We could just rule them. We have all this power now, all this technology. We're far advanced than them. Why should we lower ourselves to their standards when we could just be above them and take over? Superman fought his hardest to stop them, to the point where he has to live with the consequences that he made, like sending the rest of the Kryptonians into the Phantom Zone, killing the last remaining Kryptonian that was like him by saving a family, and actually destroying half of Metropolis trying to save it. He has to live with all this consequence, and it's even shown in the trailer itself. When you look at the Marvel Universe, there hasn't really been shown a consequence of their actions. Right now, with the Ultron movie, this actually technically maybe the first time they've ever shown the consequence of their actions. Where Tony started creating Ultron and all that, which in the comic books, Hank Pym is the one that creates him. I kind of wish they went with that instead, but I digress. But with the DC universe, they're already starting off with that, and then building from that, building so that we can get a Suicide Squad where they're cleaning up messes that maybe Superman had left behind, or something like that, or Wonder Woman where I heard there's been rumors that it's going to take place in the 40s, where World War II. I kind of hope that they would do like her mother was Wonder Woman during the 40s, and then she's retelling the stories where she passes on the title of Wonder Woman, which if I remember correctly, it did happen in the comic books. So, what I thought about the film, the trailer itself, I loved it. I enjoyed it. and I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Hope to hear from you guys soon. Hit the like button and pimp slap that subscribe button. So, see you guys later, and I'm out.